Hot damn, it's Friday. Invisible Walls, episode 155, here on GameTrailers.com. We have an absolutely huge show today, so we're going to sort of dispense with all the pleasantries and get right to it. Here to talk to you today about all the hottest topics in the gaming universe is Ryan Stevens.
Yeah, I'm rocking some 1980s gear here today.
We are recording to tape today.
Analog.
I didn't even know that even existed anymore.
Yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't suck. Marcus Beer is here.
We are so technologically advanced, it's not even funny.
Justin Spears in the house for today's episode.
Music is the weapon.
Who's
It is. Aerosmith.
All right. And Daniel Bloodworth is here today, too.
Hey, man.
All right, we don't want to burn up your weekend, so let's get right to it.
As long as Adams is still alive, he's a threat. I'm the only one who can stop him.
All right, first of all, folks, I got to tell you, if you own a Wii, go frickin' sell it. While you can still get some money for it.
Especially as there's a price cut coming next month, apparently.
Oh, my gosh, we just got the spring lineup for the Wii. It is one of the most pathetic lineups I may have ever seen.
I would say that their lineup is rather wee.
Weak. Oh, my God. Nintendo, 2 games?
Two semi-decent games, which one of is the sequel to Wii Play, so I don't know
Would
if
you
that
say
counts.
Wii Play Motion is a semi-decent game?
It'll sell.
Because it comes with a remote.
Right.
Mystery case files?
No. I mean, the only real game on there is Conduit 2, and, you know.
And we all know what the Conduit 1 was.
You're not holding out for Thor, God of Thunder.
Conduit
to
1
really
wasn't that
rock.
bad.
The Wii version, of
wasn't
course
that bad.
It was moderately average, I would call the first Conduit. But let's just go down through the lineup for the Wii here real quickly.
Oh, no.
Transformers, Dark of the Moon.
Stealth Force Edition.
That's
That's the new movie, isn't it? That's the new Transformer movie.
Get Fit with Mel B, Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, Cars 2, Reader Rabbit Preschool.
No, there's like a bunch of them for every grade.
Oh my gosh. Conduit 2, Rio, SpongeBob Squiggle Pants.
That actually came out on Tuesday, and I will be pleased to tell you that I got sent a copy.
Yay! Kung Fu Panda 2 and Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters. That is the entire lineup for the Nintendo Wii.
I will say, from what I've heard about the Green Lantern game, it actually does look pretty good if you're a comic book fan, but
Not the Wii version,
Not the
most
Wii,
likely.
yeah.
I don't trust any of those games. And then we flip over to the 3DS, which maybe is the bigger situation because obviously everybody's waiting for that must-have game. They did finally announce the final release date for Ocarina of Time 3D. And they had said at GDC it would be in June. The exact date is June 19th. Can we all hold on until then? That's a
Yeah,
long
and
way
then
away.
we have like 4 other potential candidates for maybe they'll be good games. There's Cave Story 3D, Blaze Blue, Dead or Alive, and then Driver, which I don't have much faith in. But
Yeah. I mean, it's not looking much better on the 3DS front. Again, one first-party game.
Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, that's going to be a favorite of yours, isn't it, Shane?
Yeah. So, folks, I don't know, man. Should people even hold on until Zelda comes out for the Wii?
What are you going to do?
No, for the
sell your-
3DS.
Yeah, you mean 3DS,
well,
right?
he means both, probably.
No, I mean for the Wii.
I don't know. I mean, to me, I have a Wii. I haven't played it for a really long time, but, I just kind of expect it to sit there and not do anything.
That's not a good expectation, though. I mean, this is a console.
It's not, but I mean, this is, looking at this stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's Nintendo.
So the bigger
maybe they'll
question
make a
becomes-
good game eventually.
And
but
Daniel and I talked about this in my office the other day. It was like, what is Nintendo doing? What are all their teams
chilling.
working on? I think this is pointing, at least I'm hypothesizing, that this is pointing towards maybe a hardware announcement at E3.
I don't think they have a hardware announcement just after they launch the 3DS. I really don't.
But their internal teams haven't actually been making games.
They haven't been doing anything.
Mario
There's actually-
Galaxy 2 has been the Tokyo team.
There's actually some people who will say it's been a very, very long time since their internal teams made a whole bunch of really good games. Not me.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's been a long time since they made good games. They've never sort of shoved stuff out, so you've had a steady stream of content. And didn't Iwata-san say, we're going to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore with the 3DS, and here we are.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they do have about a dozen releases on the 3DS between April, May, and June. There are about a dozen releases on the 3DS.
That's
I mean,
4 a month?
well, again, for a brand new handheld, you look at some of the stuff on there. Dead or Alive Dimensions, not too, maybe good. Zelda's going to be awesome. That's going to be the one that we all want to play, with the
Provided you haven't
exception of
played it a
you.
million times already.
If you played it 5 years ago, you could totally play it again. Anyone
I could
on
totally
Earth.
play it again if I had just played it yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I
But
mean, you
that
know,
doesn't mean I want to
it's
play
a game
it
for all
Well,
seasons.
again, I
That's
don't
true,
think,
but
again,
I
you
still think it's
necessarily-
valuable.
The
to-
problem I have
yeah.
with this is like most of the games on this list for all these platforms are games that are just kind of write-off games anyways. They're just licensed properties tied into the movies and
Yeah,
stuff
they're
like that.
licensed schlock.
It's the stuff that you wouldn't normally put on a release list.
Yeah. You wouldn't even bother putting it on there, but they had to because it's all they've got.
Well, I think this taps into what Jack Tretton was saying about Nintendo's game systems being babysitting games. They're ones you plonk the kids in front of. You can put these older games out like Zelda. They haven't experienced because they were probably in a fetus the first time some of these games came out, and they're all very very
Trenton's
happy.
argument is it's a 90s argument. He's been using it since the 90s.
Well, I mean,
Someone
uh,
sounds like a sore loser.
Tretton does, yeah. I mean, considering the if
used
they
the word
creamed the
Game Boy.
PSP.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's ashamed to have a DS or 3DS
You
on
give
a
me
plane.
a break, dude.
But you've also got to say that it is the summer period. The summer period is traditionally the quietest period for any console. Yeah. I mean, we have E3, everybody's stocking up for summer, for winter rather. So let's see how it goes. It is a pretty pathetic lineup, though.
Jack Tretton, though, I mean, come on, man.
Oh no, Jack Tretton. Look, Jack Tretton is he's a bullshit merchant of the first order. He loves giving off these random quotes. He'll pop up every now and again, and he is obviously jealous because the 3DS came out, fantastic blaze of glory, will go on to sell millions and millions of units, and probably overshadow the PSP2 because the PSP2 will end up going to the hardcore, the hardcore gamers, and we'll see how that goes.
Here's my question. What has the PlayStation brand ever done to break ground? Ever.
Oh, it was the first like of the major.
It wasn't the first disc-based system.
No, it was the first mass market. It was really sort of like permeate and push
but what
through.
innovations have they ever brought to the table? Ever.
Anybody who was at the Ratchet and Clank thing yesterday would have seen the 3D in the new Ratchet and Clank game.
Can anybody
I'm
give
taking
me
the piss out of
something?
that.
Well, actually, what was more curious to me is you see the
Dual analog
basically
sticks, isn't it?
the systems that are more popular
Pretty
have
much.
fewer games, and
That's
then
a good one.
PlayStation 3
Yeah.
has the most games. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And they definitely
Everything
didn't
is
do
flipped
rumble or
around, and
motion.
The 360 is right in the middle.
Dual
Yeah.
analogs.
Or
I
the
mean.
analog stick, period.
Yeah, but two of them. It's pretty good. I like it.
That is a good innovation. I'll agree with that. But, folks, sell your frickin' Wii.
Look, man. The hot sauce is loading. Oh my god. The hot sauce. Crazy. Dude, that's nuts. Oh.
All right, so we just talked about how Sony hasn't innovated, but here's a game I think that is innovating a little bit, and it's called Inversion. Ryan, you had a chance to check it out. It's kind of a 360-degree cover shooter.
Yeah, I mean, at certain points, it's the game's not coming out until 2012, and they said they've been working on it since 2008, and who knows how much of that's like design or whatnot. I don't know when they've actually started implementing it, but proprietary engine, third-person shooting. They actually let me have hands-on with it, which is always a good sign. Really easy to go right into. It feels, kind of like the Gears. You had the roadie run if you hold down A and stuff. Its gimmicks are all gravity-based. So while there is the traditional just duck and covers, pop some guys, there's also, this gravity weapon, which can make people kind of fly up into the sky, and it can be like leveled up, even though there's no real XP. It's all story based for that kind of stuff.
Now you play on all 4 planes, right?
Not
so
at
you
all
can
given
play
times,
on the
though.
wall
No,
or the
not,
ceiling.
Not at all given times, though. There's like weird like gravity quakes, which I think some like a Kurt Vonnegut novel or something. So you can actually be on the ground, and you can be fighting guys who are standing on the wall, but that's for their orientation. It's the ground, and then there's these weird kind of conduits that leap over there. So you can actually throw grenades, and they'll whiz and wang and end up over there. It's kind of some crazy physics. They're actually working with Havok Physics to develop new physics systems, which is funny because every time you watch a game with Havok Physics, you see that copyright, and it's like 1997, like onwards. I don't know when the last time they've had a major revision. Full destructibility, which is cool. Like we saw a lot of buildings getting destroyed.
Now, can you blow stuff up and it'll fall on your head?
Yeah, you can definitely pound things on people. The other thing is with those gravity quakes is that the world can shift, so a car that's right in front of you can end up being on its side while everyone kind of tumbles over. Really fast loading times. I know it's kind of a weird thing to bring up, but I was really impressed with how fast it was loading. Kind of one to watch. I mean, it doesn't do enough to I think put itself in the kind of that AAA, oh my god, I have to have it, but pretty interesting just watching it. Story seems completely ridiculous and bullshit, like, you're a cop, and
There's no gravity.
Gravity's gone haywire in your city.
like-
There's weird psycho people with Mexican wrestling masks chasing you. Your wife's dead. Where is your son? But I got the trailer
Wearing
voice.
a wrestling
I'm wearing
mask.
the trailer voice because I got the headphones on. But I know, definitely interesting. I mean, we've seen kind of this, and it's gonna have multiplayer, and there's gonna be. They didn't show us the.
How's that
pure-
going to work?
They won't say until E3. And then there's pure zero gravity sections that they haven't shown us as well. But they said it's not going to be swimming. It's going to be more like grappling onto things. And, it has a gravity gun. You can grab things and throw things at people, pop people's heads off. But what I thought was interesting is you can also switch from low gravity to high gravity. So you can actually, like, suppress people, like, pound them to the ground and stuff like that. So they're using every button on the controller. It's one of those. But it felt pretty quick.
Now,
Characters
GDC,
aren't
we
so
saw that game
spongy.
Hybrid, which is also sort of a
Reminded me-
360-degree cover-based third-person shooter.
Reminded me a ton of Hybrid, even though I didn't see the multiplayer, and Hybrid's all pretty much multiplayer focused. I brought it up with the guys, and they're like, we haven't heard of this.
Yeah, of course you haven't.
But, I don't know, one to watch. I think we're getting a trailer next week that you guys should check out, but I don't think there's going to be much in the way of gameplay until E3, from what I understand. But they said to look forward to a lot of hands-on opportunities and possibly even direct feed at E3. So, pretty cool, nice little surprise. Fun to see games playable more than or almost about a year out. They're aiming, I think they said for February 2012.
And who's publishing the game?
That would be Namco Bandai.
Namco has a game.
They also have Dark Souls. Yeah, You Stefan? I don't know.
All right, so all this week we've had the privilege to go and check out Sony's upcoming lineup. In fact, it's like been a couple games every day. We record on Wednesdays. I'm actually going to see Uncharted 3 tomorrow, which is Thursday.
Twisted Metals tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of these games we're not going to be able to get into this week's show. We'll talk about them next week. But we do have a bunch of games that we can talk about for this episode, and Marcus and Bloodworth have both been at the event so far.
And Justin.
And
I was
Justin.
at one.
Justin was off his very own, and
hello.
I'm jealous. I
Huh?
really wanted to go to the event that you were at. To be
Yeah,
honest.
Infamous.
Infamous 2, Electrical Boogaloo.
So I was actually at Sucker Punch's studio, so that's nice.
Yeah. So what's up with Infamous?
You want to talk about that first?
Sure.
Yeah. Basically they did a presentation. They're like, what we wanted to do is do everything better all the time. It's like they're really, they're like, what does it take to
As
make a
opposed
game of
to
the
other
year?
developers who
It's like,
only
can you
wanna do
please tell
some
us
things better,
what are we
yeah.
supposed to do for game of the year? So we didn't know. So we tried to make everything as good as, they're really trying to just, build up everything, I guess, about the game. I mean, the game definitely looks a lot better. There's a new melee combat, which looked like it does kind of, fill a gap that was in the first one where you're just kind of like, electrical marmoset clinging to, just rapidly. Also, now you have some, you have some good satisfying, clubbing a dude in the face with a weird,
Yeah, what the hell is that thing? Like a scepter or something?
it looks like
like
a
a-
piece of a bike.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's his bite.
It's like a tuning fork.
his
It
little
kind of
bite.
goes along with the character design, I think, I'm
Now,
not
did
gonna
you
go
actually
into
get to
specifics
play
with that.
without invincibility?
Yeah, they had a boss fight against a giant boss. I think it's called the Beast. It's kind of a beast-like creature, But yeah, I mean, like a lot of games, destruction is a the thing was like wrecking buildings and oh my god.
Get down.
Well, there you
That's
go,
that's
little
an
sound
infamous
effect,
alarm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's an infamous alarm.
So how does it finish off Infamous 1 if you hadn't played in the spoilers? You
I
didn't
don't know
play-
about the story stuff because I didn't play the entire first Infamous, and
It was a big game.
There's
It
a
was a
guy
big
named
game.
Zeke in the second one, which apparently a lot of people. He's like the
Yeah, he's
the
he's
magnet for
buddy.
hate for everyone when they're making custom missions, which I'm about to talk about. Mission editor is big. They're like UGC. We like it a lot. We want you to generate content, users. They're doing a beta now.
Is
Wow.
that
But
a
they
good
have
idea?
Actually, that just I mean,
I thought this a game like Little Big Planet
Yeah.
maybe makes a lot of sense. Here it's like you're making a
Super-
very specific type of mission, but really
What is the
there's-
level? Is it a
there's a
gauntlet you have to
decent
get
amount of
through in a
stuff you
certain
can do
amount
to
of
it.
time, or how does it all work?
Well, it's actually you can do a lot with it because every time I ask the guy if you could do something, he's like, "Yeah, so I'll do that
it's
right here."
Basically, a superhero
You can make
sandbox
mini-games.
game where you can create your own level. That actually is
Yeah,
sounds. Really
they're actually
cool.
within they're actually within the game world. So you pick a spot of world and then you do stuff with it. And there are some mini games like there's a Space Invaders type thing where they mess with the gravity on things and you're kind of shooting dudes out of the air, getting points. You can script like full story missions. You can set all kinds of conditions. It's kind of like
Wow,
a
that's
visual.
crazy.
It's a visual programming interface, but. I asked the guy, can you have it, you can make a place where you kill a guy and then you move to a point and then you get a power. It's like, yeah, you can tie all kinds of things to other things. You can disable powers, enable powers. You can have factions fighting each other. You can set guys as neutral or hostile.
Sounds
Or
freaking awesome.
you can say, when this guy is shot, this group moves to here from whatever. You can set patrol paths. It's a lot you can
That's
do with it. I was a
insane.
little, at first I thought this is kind of limited. You're just making, it's a
I still don't quite
third-person
understand
action
how
game,
it
right?
works. Do you go to an interface and build the world out of buildings and blocks and objects?
The buildings and blocks are already there. You're working within the game world, but you can definitely build on top of that. You can put things you can grab onto, like little parkour points. You can build structures. You can place groups. You can label the groups, set the relationship to other groups. So, like I said, it's
Can
kind
you
of
set like the AI difficulty of enemies? Like, does it go that
you
granular?
can set damage and health and various stuff like that. You can say. There's a lot you could do with it. You could say, if you kill this target, you get 500% damage for this time, or these powers are enabled. So it
Can
seems
you
like
use
there's
the
a lot of-
bosses from the campaign? Can you create this like gauntlet of all the bosses to
he
go
did.
through?
He did say that right now in the beta they've disabled some stuff to not, include story spoilers in there. But yeah, I think you should be able to work with a lot. So yeah, it looks, only so much time, to get into something like that in an event like this. But yeah, it looks like a lot of.
Are they all single
of
player
promise.
missions, or can you create like multiplayer co-op
I believe they're all
missions?
single player missions.
Yeah, I don't think the original didn't have any, multiplayer.
No, and I think that's still the same, but this is kind of that, community, sharing things with people component that they're adding into the game. So yeah, looks pretty cool so far.
Nice.
No, what about you guys? What did you check out?
We saw Ratchet and Clank All for One, or was it One for All?
All for one.
I know. The Three Musketeers rip
That's
off.
the sequel, yeah.
And Resistance 3.
Resistance 3. So yeah, I turned up a little late to the Ratchet and Clank thing. So do you want to kick off?
Yeah, they're basically, the whole game is designed around the co-op mechanic. So some of the stuff they demoed that we didn't get to play, there was like a raft with like 4 motors on it, and depending on where you're standing, like that's going to navigate the raft, and you have to get it through obstacle courses while other people are like clearing mines out of the water and that kind of thing. There's a lot of places where you kind of have to jump across and use your little tether, or like everyone has to tether on and swing across, and then you kind of leapfrog across like that.
You can tether onto other players. So one player will jump and tether first, and then everybody else will tether onto him. So it's like a little daisy chain. It's a very cool effect. 4 players is a lot of fun, but I am very wary of how it's going to work when you don't have 4 players, when it's just 2 of you, or it's just yourself and the AI characters, because that was the big thing that we really didn't get to see yesterday.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, who knows what the AI will be doing, and they also said they haven't really worked out all of the ideas with online yet. So I'm not sure how progression will work. Like if you're gonna like jump into somebody else's game, or if you're gonna be limited by the progress you've already made, or what.
Yeah, it's a pretty linear Ratchet and Clank experience.
They all are.
Yeah, you're bouncing along. Everybody's collecting the screws and the little springs, and you get the golden rivets, and you have a lot of different weapons to choose from and different characters. And the level we played was the raft level.
Yeah, I played another level before that where you had to. Everyone has a vacuum, and if you like hold a vacuum up in the air, somebody can jump into it, and then you like shoot them across a gap, or
Blinks.
Or you shoot them up, and they'll like do this like super ground pound onto a switch or something.
Is there a story to the game? Is
Yeah,
this like a proper
There is a story
installment
in
the franchise?
Yeah, they say it picks up after Kraken Time, and they've kind of tied that together. And basically, Nefarious like baits Quark into receiving some bogus award and revives this creature, and then some like creature collecting machine sucks them all up, and then they have to work together to get out.
So they're inside a huge machine. Is the setting?
No, they're
for
on
the
like another planet or something they've been taken to.
any move support?
They didn't talk about it, but I would guess that there probably will be.
When are they going to support their motion controls?
Well, according to
should
Jack
pretend it
Tretton,
didn't
that's
happen.
just not that appeling.
I don't think it's that appealing. I agree with Jack.
Then why did they do it?
Because we did it.
Because someone else did it.
It didn't feel like a true sequel to the last Ratchet and Clank Kraken Time. I mean, I love Future Tools of Destruction. I thought it was one of the best platform games I've played in such a long time. And this one just felt, I don't know, it felt like a Wii game. It felt like
explain.
well,
But without
it,
emotion.
It's like it literally without the move controls. But I mean, where it's like 4 of you all crowded round. It just felt like one of those party games that wasn't. It didn't feel like it was quite right. I mean, this is only based on us playing it for I only played it for like half an hour, 45 minutes. Blood played it for a lot more. The one thing I did discover is that when Mr. Bloodworth plays games, he is always the first one to heal you when you die. Because
Good guy to have along.
Yeah, I died a fair amount. I was like, misjudging. That was the other thing actually, was the misjudging jumps and depth perception. That was before we even got into the 3D section.
Well, did the 3D help with that?
Yeah, we didn't get to play in 3D, so maybe that would have.
Some people got to play in 3D, and I had a sneak peek at 3D, and it gave me a headache.
So the other game that they've been showing is Resistance. Now, the demo I saw of that was essentially at GDC was essentially the big boss fight that's been in the trailers.
Okay, yeah, this is different. This is a sniper level, and lighting looked pretty nice. The one thing they did use it to highlight, though, is that they kind of looked at the whole way that they've done the franchise, and like every gun, everything they've kind of reworked from the ground up. And I think the thing that we were most impressed with was, they reworked the AI. So they're doing much less scripting. They're making more open levels. And even in the demo, you could see that like the guy that designed the level was getting caught off guard by the snipers.
Yeah, the buzzword was multiple paths to complete the level, and it was this dark countryside, very late night, early morning. The snipers were Chimera snipers, new character class, so they're almost invisible predator type. So the only way you can really see them unless is through the laser scopes that they've got. So basically you see the laser scopes flashing and you have to sneak around, but they are absolutely deadly. And yeah, we saw the designer. He actually got his ass kicked and died before
that's
he
the
could
thing, because he
level.
got killed, and then when we got to see him do it again, it's like, yeah, these guys definitely aren't in the same places.
Yeah.
I found the game challenging when I played it at GDC. I had to play the boss fight several times before I finally got through it.
They say the AI has, basically they're given jobs, so there's like personality types, like this guy's going to flank more, this guy's going to defend, but they're all going to react to wherever you are in the level and kind of hunt you down based on their job type.
The version you played, was that the boat level?
No, it was just the boss fight. There's just this big ape-looking boss,
Okay.
and it's a wide open area, and it did sort of lend to what they're
Almost
saying.
like a western town, and it's like very orangey.
Yeah, Haven.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
open, and there was like a big gas station in the center, and you could literally attack the boss from any of the buildings, the windows in the buildings all around, or you could get up on top of the gas station. It was a big open area, which I thought, added to the tension pretty nicely.
They had that on display again. That's the first, because obviously I didn't go to GDC. That's the first time I've seen that level. And I gotta say, the thing that blew me away, no pun intended, is the environmental effects when the drop ships are coming down and the wind is blowing the trees, and you see your character, you're sort of like being pushed back. That was really, really impressive. And then you had this bad guy that looked like a cross between the Balrog from Lord of the Rings and King Kong. It's like they had this baby, and it's like really ugly monkey thing. But I got to say, the single player, from what I've seen so far in Resistance 3, gives me hope, because they seem to have stepped away from all the, fully scripted, to, much more open, multiple paths. Yes, you do have your big events, but the big events don't happen as often, so you can appreciate them more.
I just think it seems more interesting than the first two Resistance games. I enjoyed those games, but I just felt they just didn't have that spark about them. This one, I feel like there's a little bit of that in there. Of course, we haven't seen a lot of it yet, so, we'll obviously withhold our judgment until we get to play the final game, but I'm more interested to play this one than I was the first two, which is, I think, a good sign.
They did have multiplayer on display as well, but they've...
Can you do co-op campaign, or...?
They didn't say anything about co-op there, but I think that there probably will be some form of co-op.
But this, multiplayer is down to 16 players now, because it was at 50 for.
Yeah, the last couple of
They've
games
dropped
got
it,
really
yeah.
big, but this one's a little more focused. There were some like different abilities and stuff, like shields and stuff that you can pick up that made it a little bit different, but
It
for the most part, it
like,
felt like a
looked
kind of standard
generic
multiplayer.
Yep. So overall, the stuff's looking pretty good. We have those games to talk about this week, and we'll get to the other ones next week.
Oh man, I love a good fight.
All right, folks, if you stuck around this long, you have made it to the absolute highlight of Invisible Walls, episode 155, and that is Daniel Bloodworth's report on Captivate, Capcom's annual event this year in South Beach. You don't look too tan, brother.
No, we really didn't get out at all.
Stay inside and play some video games.
Did you see any gators?
Oh yeah, I'm from Florida, so I drove home after the event and stopped and saw a bunch of gators in the Everglades.
Said hi to your pet gator.
But also had
Chompy.
Al staring me down at my brother's house. But yeah, we saw 6 main games there: Asura's Wrath, Dragon's Dogma, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Dead Rising 2 off the
Is
record.
that the right way to say it? Cross Tekken?
Yes, I hate it. And the Mercenaries 3D on the 3DS. So what do you want to hear about first?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is that overall, from being someone who didn't go to the event, the games that I ended up being most interested in were not the headliners. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I wasn't that into, but I think Asura's Wrath, which I think they debuted at Tokyo Game Show last year.
Yeah, they had
that
a
game
nice
looks
trailer for it.
freaking awesome.
The game does look really, really nice, and I was telling them there that the art style, like he has this ink shading and stuff going on, but it doesn't really look like a comic book or an anime. It's just a very different, unique style. And there's like a lot of grays and stuff, but then when he gets angry, he'll turn more bright orange and kind of light up
And
the
this
environment.
is CyberConnect, right?
Yeah.
So the guys that did Naruto and the awesome looking.
And you can see a lot of that
animation
influence there. The guy kind of reminds me of like an old man Naruto.
Yeah. Well, those guys are super I always have been a fan of that developer.
The gameplay, we didn't get to see a lot of the just standard typical gameplay, but it looks like kind of in the vein of Devil May Cry or God of War, but it doesn't really feel like it's like copying either one of those. It has its own feel. There's like these there's also like strafing like shooting attacks that you can attack guys from a distance. There's like as you fight, there's a rage meter that builds up for more powerful attacks that you can do. And then the boss fight was just this enormous thing where there's like you're like tossing projectiles back at him like Sin and Punishment, and then he turns into this huge thing that's like bigger than the planet and comes down to smash you with his finger. It's a very, very impressive game overall.
So what really, apart from that one, what caught your eye? Was there anything that's like stood out as kind of blindsided you? Shane was saying that there was the non-headliners caught his eye. What really caught yours?
Well, that was definitely the game that I was most impressed with there. I think other things are just I was more impressed with Raccoon City than I thought I would be. It is pretty much just a standard third-person shooter. It's a co-op campaign, a 4-player co-op campaign, and you've got you're playing against the bad guys basically. The Umbrella people are just there to just slaughter everyone that saw what happened. And each of the characters kind of relates to a class. Like there's a medic and there's like a stealth guy and all of that. But what's more appealing to me was the multiplayer mode, because it's still set up as the kind of a standard deathmatch, but you also have all of the zombies and the hunters and stuff thrown in the mix too. So you'll get a smaller amount of points for killing a zombie or a hunter, but you can also you can kind of play with the other teammates
with the wildlife essentially.
Yeah, because basically if you shoot a guy enough times within a short period, he'll start bleeding out, and that will attract zombies to start rushing him. So if you manage to do that, you'll get more points for having the zombies kill him than actually like killing him yourself.
That's pretty sweet.
It's Gears of Resident Evil.
Well, I mean, Gears
Basically.
doesn't have that mechanic.
No,
in
I'm
it,
just
but-
saying, third-person co-op. I mean, it's cover systems. I'm guessing, and it's not a criticism.
Well, that's-
Yeah.
Gears of War Gears of War 2 in particular is a brilliant game, and I think this is a great and very logical step that they've finally taken to allow you to run and shoot at the same time. Welcome to the 21st century, Capcom. But no, I like that. I like the idea of this being team-based co-op, where you are part of a group and you have the classes, and you're going and you're just kicking ass with a bunch of zombies and bad guys. I mean, that's is all we've ever wanted, really, from games like this.
No, I have to admit, it's sounding a lot better than I thought it would be,
Yeah.
which is a first positive step. The other game that I was really attracted to was Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, which
That has like the all-star cast of Capcom developers working on it.
At
Yeah,
least the remaining Capcom developers.
Everyone that's left, right?
that's the Devil May Cry 4 guys have basically been working on that since Devil May Cry
It went
4.
completely off the reservation, I might add. Because it's like a high fantasy... Well, go ahead.
It's an action game. I think a lot of people are mistaking it for an RPG because of the fantasy elements, but it's totally an action game. You have this party of pawns, as they call them, who are basically support characters, and you can go into the towns and recruit pawns as you will. You just walk around, talk to people, find people that you might want to have on your team. They
I want to
aren't
be a
talk-
pawn when I grow up.
they aren't talking about what the multiplayer is going to be like yet. They say it's going to be a different kind of multiplayer. I don't know what that means because people say that all the time.
Right. Every time.
The one nice thing is when you're fighting a bigger enemy like a Griffin or the Hydra boss that they showed, you can kind of grab onto them, and they had it set up so like there's a pawn would like get ready to kind of like boost you up. You know, they put their arms down, and they would throw you up, and you would grab onto the Griffin and then just start crawling on them and whacking on them.
And the best part is the whole thing isn't scripted. It's not like, okay, now you go here. Now here's this handhold that you have to go on to. Now hold on while he tries to shake you off. It's like literally you can go anywhere on the creature and attack.
Yeah, he can shake you off, but it's not like Shadow of the Colossus where there's like just that one point. I think obviously there are going to be parts of them that are stronger than others, but it's not that obvious.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
this is the Devil May Cry team. What are the camera angles like? Is it fixed camera or is it free roaming camera?
I think it's more.
It looked free roaming.
I want
to
to say
me.
it's more free roaming.
Wow.
Is this a little Monster Hunter
So
or
we
not?
have free roaming from a Devil May Cry team, and we have Run and Gun and Resident Evil. I mean, that actually just negated two
Hell
of my.
hath frozen over.
I mean, yeah, there's two of my biggest bitches against a lot of Capcom games is those two particular things, and it's fantastic.
You can't really knock really Resident Evils for the not being able to move and shoot because for
Yeah.
what they're and the angles.
did that
those
intentionally for
two
tension.
factors were
Well,
like what
and
defined the
they
freaking game.
have talked about it, and actually I read an interview yesterday where they said it's actually been a major topic of conversation at the development team when they go to the pub after work. And it's exactly what you said. It's about tension. It's being able to reload. But I mean, one of the things I've felt is missing, the fact if your aim goes to hell and you can just fire blindly as you're running away, that would again feel a little bit better. But I am totally all over these two games. So I mean,
Well, I'm not a big fan of high fantasy, so that's what I love about this game is that I feel like a lot of high fantasy games or RPGs, no offense to anybody who likes them, but I feel like they don't have soul. And one thing I think that this team gets right, the
Demon's
Devil May
Souls,
Cry
totally.
games get right, is that their games have soul. So I'm interested to play one of these high fantasy games that have sort of that intangible element to them that those developers bring to games.
I did get to play a little bit, and that was a little bit more disappointing to play. I'm hoping that they tweak it a bit. It may have just been like the wrong thing to start people off on because I actually had to play the demo twice before I could like figure out what all I could do. It was
So it's
just
pretty complicated, a la Devil May Cry.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you just have a lot of like you can like they had the Strider who has both the bow and the knives. And it's like you have these charge shots and volleys that you can throw down on enemies. And my AI team was like basically slaughtering everything before I could actually test out my moves. And it just felt really fast and frantic. And people were like, "Look over here, look over there." I was like, "What's? Just let me figure out what I'm doing first.
But is this a little Monster Hunter or not? Because
It's not so much. It's because Monster Hunter has more
all
deliberate,
co-op.
slow attacks, and everything's based around cooperating with each other.
but is there co-op here or
Like I said, they haven't talked about what the multiplayer. stuff
just
is gonna
AI
look
so
just
like.
haven't
far.
mentioned?
Yeah.
All right. Pawns.
But I think the scope of the game
Prawns.
says a lot. They say that like you can look out over the countryside and see a boss attacking a village and decide whether to go take on that boss or not.
Now, the game probably everyone's waiting for us to talk about, but we're not really talking about it for a reason, is Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yeah, and well, plus I'm not really a fighting game guy to judge.
Yeah, but I mean, before you got back, some of the footage that you had came back. So we all piled into the edit bays. We were all excited to watch it, and then we just looked at it and we were like, ew. Like, the game to me just doesn't look attractive. It looks like all the guys are like squat and like fat. I don't know. How does it play? Does it play like Street Fighter or does it play like Tekken?
I think it plays more like Street Fighter for sure, but it's definitely got the Tekken guys have more grab moves and stuff like that. It's a little easier to combo. It has the tag out system. I think the thing is right now we're at a point where really nobody knows how to play this game yet.
Yeah, I was about to say it looked like none of the footage we saw was like really demoing
And that was
what's
one of
possible
Capcom's
in the
UK
game.
guys, who they say is one of their better players, and even he, it's.
I've been to Captivates before. Yeah, I think a lot of the suits on vacation over there, and they're like, I played this game before, like yesterday.
Yeah. Seth Killian was complaining because it was like he had just gotten the build like a week and a half ago, and he said they had changed all this stuff on him. So he didn't even really.
If he couldn't handle it well, then nobody there is going to handle it well. But my concern
Work in
is
progress.
with Tekken. Tekken is such a different playing game. You have fighters like King. King, if you're good with with him in the game, you can literally string together grapple moves and literally take out almost someone's entire health bar. So if the game plays like Street Fighter, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to work stuff like that into the gameplay.
Yeah, well, King definitely had a lot of grapple moves, and you know, on the Street Fighter side, Abel has a lot of grapple moves too.
Right.
So it's pretty interesting to put those two together.
They're definitely, Street Fighter 4, there's an emphasis on huge comboing into your ultra and then just doing a huge amount of damage.
But that's not
it
what
seems
King's
like
about, right? King is literally about, putting someone in a headlock, slamming him on his shoulder, transforming into a figure 4 leg lock.
I imagine they'll do that in his ultra combo or the equivalent, And
Right.
Namco's making their own version as well, and then I guess we'll see, Street Fighter
it all
characters acting like
works
Tekken
out.
characters. But yeah, you're right. I mean, to me, I just looked at it and I'm like, I don't really get what they're.
I
What
think
are you guys
just,
going for?
It just seems like a cash-in, but we'll see. It could end up being great. Now, if you had to pick one game from Captivate that you cannot wait to play, what is that one game?
Asura's Wrath for sure.
Yeah, that game looks hot. All right, so that's it for episode 155. I told you it was going to be big. Man, we just rocketed through, 10 games maybe?
Yeah.
That's a high game per minute quotient for Invisible Walls. We do have one last announcement to make to you guys. I know a lot of times we get messages, emails from you guys wondering how you can get into the industry. Well, here is your chance. We are looking for new interns here at GameTrailers.com. There are a few stipulations you do have to follow, and I'll run down those for you. First of all, you have to be either a junior or a senior in college. You have to be in college. You can't just... And Marcus is making... Yeah, I won't even go there. You need to be a junior or a senior. You have to get college credit for the internship. So you have to make sure you set it up with your university, that you'll be getting credits for it. Also, it is unpaid, and it's also in Los Angeles.
You guys pay us, actually.
Yeah. Well, actually, we will buy you lunch once. If you're interested in interning here, basically you send an email to sm.mtvinterns@mtvstaff.com and make sure you put something in the subject saying, Game Trailers internship or something like that so they know where to route your stuff. But hey, get in here. We'll crack the whip and put your asses to work. Also want to mention Reset one more time. The feature has been doing better and better every week, so thanks to you guys who have checked it out. Again, tomorrow on Saturday morning, you'll be able to check out a brand new set of columns and other madness. So make sure you check it out right here on GameTrailers.com. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Invisible Walls is up and out.